ASHFIELD, 1932. A shadowed, forgotten suburb just north of Chicago. Gray wooden shacks leaning with age, smoke curling from crooked chimneys, barefoot children running through muddy streets with empty eyes and emptier stomachs. The Great Depression had hollowed out America. Banks collapsed, jobs vanished, and families stood in endless lines for a watery bowl of soup that barely passed for food. But there was an exception. At the very end of a dirt road just past the dead train line stood a lone house, windows always shut, and a constant sweet smoky scent in the air. That's where the Gruber couple lived. Wilhelm Gruber, a towering Austrian butcher who once carved up men in the trenches of the Great War, cold eyes, silent as a tomb, and his wife Martha, born in Illinois to Scottish immigrants, once an award-winning chef before the crash. Together, they were the strangest and best-fed couple in the entire county. Behind their house was a butcher shop, always stocked. Fresh cuts, smoked sausages, ribs, lean strips, hearty stews, all sold cheap. Dirt cheap. In a time when meat was rarer than hope, the Gruber's shop was either a miracle or a curse. No one ever asked where all that meat came from, until private investigator Thomas Tom Darrow was hired by a nervous shopkeeper. 2 delivery boys had vanished. Both had made final stops on that street. Both disappeared into the sweet smoke trailing from the Gruber's chimney. Tom wasn't a greenhorn, a former cop, fired for refusing to look the other way. He could sniff out lies like blood in the water. And when he stepped near that little house, sweet with cinnamon and roasting meat, something in his gut twisted hard. He began investigating. Quietly, he visited the local market, talked to old ladies, watched unmarked trucks arrive late at night. He heard whispers, hushed voices claiming that meat wasn't pork nor beef. It was something else. At the same time, a local mobster named Salvatore Mancuso, better known as Sal the Knife, was a regular customer of the Grubers. Said he came for lasagna meat. But Sal wasn't just any client. Tom dug deeper and found the truth. Sal was an FBI informant, and he used the Grubers to make bodies vanish, even his own enemies. But what no one knew, what no one could have guessed, was that Sal didn't just dispose of the bodies. He ate them, alongside the Grubers. It was a ritual, a meal of silence. A pact that said, as long as we break bread together, our secrets stay buried. Until Tom got too close. One bitter cold night in November, Tom tailed Sal to the Gruber's house. He slipped in through a back window. The air was thick, roasted meat, onions sizzling in lard, and something else, something sweet and rotten. In the basement, Tom found hell. Human bones hung from hooks like trophies. A headless torso slumped in a barrel. And in the corner, a kitchen. Martha stood at a giant pot, stirring slowly, smiling softly, her hands steady, her eyes empty. Tom drew his pistol, but before he could move, pain exploded in his back. Wilhelm had followed. Silent, precise, and like any seasoned butcher, the blade slid in clean, fatal. Tom dropped, but he didn't die, not right away. Bound and gagged, he was forced to watch his own leg being carved off, washed and thrown into the fire. Martha looked at him with the tenderness of a mother, said his meat was firm, perfect for a red wine and marjoram stew. That rarely did they find someone with so little fats and so much character. They wanted to taste that, the honor, the integrity. Sal was there too, laughing, drinking wine. But then, the twist. The Grubers had decided Sal had talked too much. He was becoming inconvenient. Wilhelm swung the cleaver into his skull. One hit. Sal dropped face first into a steaming bowl of soup. That moments later became him. By morning, the house was still. Days later, the Grubers hosted a public banquet, a free winter feast for the hungry. They served stew, sausages, meat pies, fried bread with sweet lard and herbs. Almost 300 people came, and they ate. No one asked where the meat came from. Hunger speaks louder than questions. Only one child, Maggie Lou, age 9, tugged her mother's sleeve and said, "This stew tastes like fear." Her mother told her to hush. 2 months later, the house burned to the ground. The Grubers were gone. No bodies were ever found. Some say they fled to Canada. Others swear they saw Martha in Brooklyn years later, selling meat dumplings from a food cart. In 1954, a writer tried to publish the story. He died in a car crash just days before the book was set to release. The manuscript vanished. Today, Ashfield is a ghost town. But some say, on cold nights, if the wind blows just right, the smell of roasted meat and cinnamon drifts through the air. And if you ever catch that scent, don't follow it, because in that house where bones once fed the fire, good men became supper and traitors fed a starving crowd. And the real horror lurks in the taste of meat you never should have tried.